Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Friday, May 22nd. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It's a holiday weekend like no other. Gone is the mass getaway, yet crowd control more of a concern than ever before. The law enforcement warning in a moment. But first, we want to update you on the latest COVID-19 numbers. One more death in the county, with 119 more cases. As KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman shows us, the county is making an example out of a business that didn't follow the reopening rules.
County health officials aren't messing around, closing El Pres in Pacific Beach after they say large crowds gathered there yesterday in violation of new reopening guidelines.
It created an imminent health and safety risk.
All eyes are on restaurants this Memorial Day weekend, many of whom are reopening dining rooms for the first time in 2 months.
We don't want, everyone to get a bad rap because of one or two spots that aren't doing it maybe the best that they could. We put a lot of time and effort into making it safe here.
Miss B's Coconut Club reopened their dining room Friday morning after weeks of preparation.
I don't think we know what to expect, but we definitely have, we've been here for 4 years. We know Memorial Day is crazy. It's the first holiday of the summer season, and we expect a lot of people out and maybe a little chaos.
There will be restrictions for those going out this weekend. For one,
no one is allowed to stand. They all have to have a seat.
People might notice things like plexiglass partitions that some places have installed, and
we've removed all of the condiments from our table. We actually don't even have menus. We have contactless menus. So you scan a code and our menu pops up on their phone.
The streets and sidewalks around the beaches can be tight, and some places are planning on having people lining up outside.
Make them wait at the front so that we can kind of control everyone that's entering and exiting.
And don't forget your face covering.
We require that just to get in, you have to have one on to walk to your table. And then if you get up to go to the bathroom or for any other reason, you must wear it, yeah.
Other restaurant owners say Memorial Day weekend is typically their second busiest of the year.
So it is a little crazy that they allowed us to open up for a soft trial opening right before a huge, crazy weekend. So we'll see how it goes. But we're going to self-police it ourselves here, but not let people just randomly come in.
Guava Beach Bar and Grill is also planning for some long lines.
We can't get too busy because we're not going to allow ourselves to get too busy. Normally it'd be just chaos.
They've been putting in long hours getting ready for Memorial Day weekend under COVID-19 modifications.
I basically got rid of my entire bar area and I had no bar stools there. You can go to the bar and order a drink, but you got to do it behind one of the plexiglass things there so that we're, because we wouldn't be 6 feet apart.
Restaurant owners are asking for patience this holiday weekend, and while there might be some hiccups, they're trying to protect employees and customers. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
President Trump announced today he believes churches should be able to reopen right now. It should come as welcome news to some churches, including one South Bay congregation that's suing Governor Newsom. KPBS reporter John Carroll looks at their case and why another local religious leader disagrees with it.
For people of all faiths, it is central. Corporate worship, a shared experience of the divine. Full transparency here, I myself am a member of a local Episcopal congregation. But since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, churches, mosques, synagogues, all houses of worship have fallen silent.
When he did not announce churches in phase 2, immediately we filed the lawsuit.
Bishop Arthur Hodges says the people of his Chula Vista Church, and members of every religious faith for that matter, are being discriminated against by Governor Newsom's public health orders. He says he wrote to the governor, talked to officials in his administration, tried everything he could think of before resorting to a lawsuit. Hodges' lawsuit contends the governor's orders violate his church's constitutional rights.
You cannot use a pandemic to continue to abrogate our constitutional rights.
Hodges says it's blatantly unfair that businesses of all sorts are allowed to operate with restrictions while churches must keep their doors closed. He cites a number of organizations, distribution centers, manufacturing facilities, and airlines.
Why do they get a privilege that churches don't get? Airlines are not in the Constitution. Churches are.
When Governor Newsom issued the orders that forced the closure of churches and many businesses, the delineation was between what was considered essential and what wasn't. That in particular irks Hodges.
Churches are essential. Churches are serving needs of our community nobody else can serve. Churches serve a need in people's lives and communities government cannot serve.
But as deeply committed as Bishop Hodges is to his viewpoint, other San Diego religious leaders are okay with the governor's orders, at least for now. One of them that we talked to cites another part of Scripture to support her viewpoint.
Like many people, I was heartbroken because it is hard for Christians to give up our worshiping life together.
But Bishop Susan Brown Snook says something more important is at stake, the health of the public.
Jesus told us to love God and love our neighbors. Those are the commandments we follow. And stopping in-person worship for a period of time is how we love our neighbors.
Snook says there are other ways of exercising faith, and she's not just talking about Zoom meetings.
Some of our churches are working on small group or home church structures where people can come together in small churches in other places and build from there toward a full gathering.
Bishop Hodges' case is now before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. It's being handled on an expedited schedule because it involves constitutional rights. Legal analyst Dan Eaton has been closely following the case.
The question is whether, in creating certain exceptions and not including religious services within those exceptions, somehow offends the Constitution. That's really the critical issue here.
A recent ruling from the Sixth Court of Appeals on a similar case found that governors could not forbid outdoor drive-in type services, but the ruling let stand the prohibition against gathering in church buildings. Still, if the Ninth goes against Hodges, then the case will head to the Supreme Court, which could decide not to take it. That would let the Ninth's ruling stand. Or they could take it, which Eaton says would likely slow things way down.
And the one thing everybody can agree with respect to coronavirus and the disease it causes, COVID-19, is that both are moving faster than the speed of law. And by then, God willing, this pandemic will be behind us.
But the disagreements will likely remain. Where should the lines be drawn when it comes to the intersection between the right to freely exercise one's faith in a church building and the risk that could pose to people of faith and those of no faith? Tough questions in the age of COVID-19. John Carroll, KPBS News.
And Governor Newsom says on Monday the state will release guidelines for churches to reopen. Hospitals in Imperial County will see some relief as they address a surge in COVID patients. Media partner iNewsSource reported the region has the highest hospitalization rate in the state and diverted ambulances to other counties. But Governor Newsom announced today he's sending a mobile hospital to help.
We've sent out a team and we are putting a field medical station in Imperial County, up to 125 beds to help decompress their hospital system.
And the rise in Imperial County is due to authorized border crossers. Hospitals in San Diego's border area have raised similar concerns. A county supervisor here is working with federal officials for a possible medical facility at the San Ysidro crossing. More local casinos are reopening, but one says it's not ready to gamble with lives. Like Siquan and Viajas earlier, Harrah's, Valley View, and Pala are back in business. The Palma Casino, though, says it will wait longer to open back up, saying they don't want to risk employee or guests' health. Area casinos have all implemented extra cleaning and social distancing guidelines. Today has been declared Harvey Milk Day in the state of California. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer and LGBTQ community leaders gathered today to lay wreaths in honor of the slain gay leader. The wreaths were placed along Milk Street in Hillcrest and Balboa Park. He would have been 90 years old today.
Harvey Milk was stationed here in San Diego in the 1950s in the Navy. And we're also very proud that the USNS Harvey Milk is being built right here in San Diego at NASCO. So happy birthday, Harvey Milk. We miss you, but we fight on in your name.
And today's ceremony was held in lieu of San Diego's annual Harvey Milk Diversity Breakfast, normally attended by 1,000 people. Memorial Day weekend is typically a busy time for travel, but this year, no one is really sure how many people will be getting away. Pete Muntean explains.
Road trip. I set out on I-95 toward Virginia Beach. It, along with some beaches in New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland, are open for the holiday weekend.
This is like always the big linchpin in 95. We're breezing through right now. This is easy.
But University of Maryland researchers say road trips are nearing pre-pandemic levels, last weekend climbing 18% in Maryland and Virginia alone. Travel firm Inrix thinks typical traffic will return in some spots this weekend, a driving holiday that's become difficult to forecast.
For the first time in nearly 2 decades, AAA is not releasing a travel forecast because the economic data is just not readily available for us to do so.
Researchers do say that the car is about the safest way to get around right now, but it's when you stop where things get more difficult.
We're going to see what this is like.
Rest stops are open in Virginia, but that can vary state to state. The CDC underscores wearing a mask and washing your hands when traveling. Here, crews are cleaning bathrooms every hour.
We want people to be reassured that they can come in here and they can have a place that is going to be clean for them.
Of course, an essential part of a road trip is a snack, and AAA says be mindful of the buttons that you press on a vending machine. Maybe use a card instead of cash. They say especially after you use something like that, make sure you hand sanitize afterward.
Weekend gas prices are the lowest in more than 15 years, according to AAA.
One more thing to think about on your road trip, all of the things that you touch at a gas pump, the nozzle, the keypad. One researcher telling me maybe use a knuckle to hit these buttons or use it on a touchscreen that's better than your fingertips. They emphasize make sure that you wash up afterwards or maybe touch all of this with a paper towel or even gloves.
Well, I don't think people understand the risk very well.
The big concern from health experts that quarantine fatigue will lead to more travel and spread coronavirus even further.
I think, people are just getting fed up with being closed in all those winter months, and now they're getting out.
Doing any traveling for Memorial Day?
No.
No, staying home?
Staying home.
And that was Pete Muntean reporting. Beaches up and down our coastline are sure to be busy this holiday weekend. Today, parking lots near Mission Beach were already packed. Police want to remind everyone that restrictions are still in place. There's no sitting or lying on the sand, and extra officers will be out to keep people moving. On Monday, even more people might want to head up to the coast to escape the heat. Jeff Cornish has your Memorial Day weekend forecast.
Well, it's a breezy time out there, especially in the interior, in the deserts and the mountains today and this evening. We're dealing with gusts of wind at times that have been in that 30 to 50 mile per hour ballpark. Things will quiet down later on tonight after this breezy evening. We do have a pleasant weekend in store for those of you near the coast, including across the more populated parts of our area into San Diego and the coastal regions. As we take a look ahead to next week, though, it's going to be a warm time for the coast, but a downright hot time for the interior deserts. Borrego Springs, we're looking at places like you with an excessive heat watch in effect for Monday through Friday of next week. We'll show you the map in a moment. But it's warmer Saturday across much of the region, still cool in parts of the Great Basin. It'll be a nice, pleasant day for the coast, just a little warm. But as we look at the overnight forecast tonight, we do expect to fall to around 60 in El Cajon, 58 Escondido, and 63 into San Diego, 46 at Mount Laguna, a little cool there, and 40 in Campo. Into the day tomorrow, Saturday, looking pretty nice, 70 in San Diego, beautiful weather into Ramona at 74, Borrego Springs 93, not terribly hot by any stretch of the imagination, but the heat will be building into those areas of the deserts and the interior into Monday. And here it is, the excessive heat watch in effect from Borrego Springs to the east. Our friends in Yuma are going to be stifling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. triple-digit heat for those typically hot spots. Well, here we are at the coast. Temperatures at their coolest on Saturday, 71, really nice weather. 77 on Memorial Day, 80 on Tuesday. So we're warming up a bit, but it's not a blistering offshore wind. So that'll keep us in check. Temperatures will be pretty pleasant for the coast even during that hotter time next week. Inland areas do surge into the low 90s Tuesday and Wednesday. Mountainous areas, 62 on Saturday, cool, but 78 by Wednesday. We're dry out there, and here we get into the heat here in the deserts. 93 on Saturday, 107 Tuesday, 109. Downright summer-like in Borrego Springs on Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
San Diego County's unemployment rate hit a record high 30%. The San Diego Association of Governments report says more than 510,000 people were out of work as of May 9th. Logan Heights has the worst unemployment rate at 42%. Golden Hill, City Heights, the College area, and San Ysidro all have more than 36% unemployment. Now that more businesses are allowed to reopen countywide, will we see job numbers improve? SDSU's Miro Kopik has more in this Friday Business Report.
The California jobs report was announced today, 15.5% unemployment rate, over just about a 10-point jump from last month. But the biggest sector was leisure and hospitality, where the state lost 46% of its jobs in that sector alone. But if we look at what's happening now with the reopening and the rules and regulations, so restaurants could be about 50% capacity, there's going to be a major structural change over the next couple of years as a lot of these companies, to maintain degrees of profitability, they're going to look at automation. And so what we're going to start seeing potentially is a lot of jobs that require a lot of face-to-face interaction might be replaced by kiosks. You're going to see, from a labor saving perspective, a lot of these jobs over time are going to go away. One of the concerns that we're going to have is what's that going to do structurally to the economy, especially since these jobs have seen wage gains over the last couple of years. Where are these employees going to go?
As more businesses start to reopen, employers are facing a problem. Some employees are refusing to come back to work, as Kyung La explains why.
Hello. How's it going? My name is Andrew, and I'm calling from Reliable Staffing.
As businesses look to reopen,
I will work with you during the COVID situation.
Job recruiters like Andres Nunez search for people to take the jobs. Yet 1 out of every 5 calls he makes,
They don't want to come out. They don't want to come out because the price isn't right.
How does unemployment fit into that piece?
People would rather just get the unemployment.
Because in many cases, it pays more. Unemployment benefits average more than $350 a week nationwide in state benefits, plus an additional $600 per week in federal stimulus funding.
Before unemployment, I was lucky to make between $250 and $300 a week.
This recent college graduate, who asked her name not be used, was laid off from a bowling alley in Ohio in March. Her untaxed unemployment is 3 times her old take-home pay.
I have been able to pay off my car 3 months early.
You are making more money not working. What do you think about that?
It's lessening the stress of going back to work.
Exposure to the virus is the biggest concern, she says, as the economy reopens.
If the bowling alley calls and says, we want to hire you back, but you have this option of unemployment, which one do you choose?
See, that's actually a hard question. This is the first time I felt financially stable in a long time. But then again, I'm very much the type of person where I like to feel like I'm earning my money in the same way. Like, everyone has, in my mind, a right to live comfortably and not have to worry. And I think this level of unemployment money is allowing that to happen.
How you doing, guys?
But that doesn't help employers like Josh Souter.
I have, employees that won't return my calls. I had one employee show up and quit 2 days later to go back on unemployment.
Souter runs a Drunken Crab in North Hollywood, California. When we met him at the beginning of the coronavirus crisis, he had just laid off 75 employees.
I'm worried about having a heart attack, to be perfectly honest with you.
Today, his dining room sits empty, carry out only. Unemployment verification requests are delivered by the handful.
Okay, would you like ranch with your Cajun fries?
A few employees are back. As far as the others,
The amount of money that people are making on unemployment right now, quite honestly, is more than what we were paying them before.
Do you feel like you're competing
with unemployment?
No question. I don't blame them, but we do need workers to come back eventually. This is a limited amount of money that you will receive for a limited amount of time that will run out.
And that was Kyung La reporting. Burgers and hot dogs for your Memorial Day barbecue will cost you more. Grocery prices have been going up across the board because of disruptions to the supply chain and higher demand from more people eating at home. The price of beef rose nearly 12% compared to last year. Fresh chicken, 7.5%. Area malls are opening up by next Friday with safety measures. Westfield UTC, Mission Valley, North County, and Plaza Bonita are reopening with modified hours. Individual store hours may vary. The Westfield shopping centers say they will clean the malls more frequently, control the number of shoppers, and enforce social distancing and face mask regulations. Joshua Tree National Park is back open, and park rangers are expecting big crowds this holiday weekend. Kitty Alvarado looks at the changes visitors can expect.
Joshua Tree National Park is finally open to visitors after being closed since April 1st because of coronavirus precautions. And everything is in bloom.
What do you think about this park?
So beautiful. It is so beautiful. Visitors Hannah and Kelly Zabo are thrilled to see the Joshua trees. For a moment, Kelly says she's forgotten about the troubles of the world.
Absolutely breathtaking out here. The peace, the birds. I mean, you can hear them right now. There's just nothing like this.
Park Superintendent David Smith says they expect a busy Memorial Day weekend.
We're really excited. We've been able to open up the park.
He says COVID-19 guidelines like social distancing still apply here, and they're taking other measures too.
A lot of our trails are one-way trails right now. They're no longer two-way loops. We're doing that so that folks will not potentially touch each other on those trails. Camping is limited to families or households that you typically would be hanging out with during the time of COVID.
Campsites are first come, first serve, limited to 6 people, and while the bathrooms are still open, there is no water or sanitizing gel. You must bring your own everything and take it with you when you go, and be extra careful driving and hiking. With no visitors for weeks, critters are abundant.
Increased numbers of tortoises on the road, lots of snakes, and most exciting, a whole bunch of bighorn sheep in campgrounds where we've never seen bighorn sheep hanging out before. So the one silver lining of the last 2 months has been an opportunity for wildlife to have run of the park again.
So go enjoy the more than 1 million Joshua trees nestled on nearly 800,000 acres, but respect each other and the wildlife.
This is your park, and it's your responsibility to take care of this park.
And that was Kitty Alvarado reporting. The USS Midway Museum is using Facebook to commemorate the brave men and women who gave their lives for our country. It's hosting Legacy Week with virtual events throughout the weekend. They will be live streamed on their Facebook page. On Monday, you can watch ceremonies from Fort Rosecrans and Miramar National Cemeteries, the Mount Soledad National Memorial, and the USS Midway Museum. A national moment of remembrance will happen at 3 p.m.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, as the U.S. death toll nears 100,000, the country pushes ahead with relaxing restrictions for Memorial Day weekend. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
San Diego Public Library is offering contact-free pickup service at 11 locations. The service will be available starting Tuesday at the times and locations you see on your screen. You'll need a valid library card or number to pick up books. The library is still not accepting returns, though. With summer approaching and states reopening, there's a big question mark on which activities are safe. Mandy Gaither went to doctors for the answers.
It's the unofficial start of summer, but this Memorial Day is like no other.
A lot of this is just unknown. The playbook doesn't exist.
During a webinar, fellows with the Infectious Diseases Society of America talked about summer activities. Dr. Preeti Malani says common sense is going to be key to keeping the coronavirus from further spreading.
A lot of us want to plant flowers in our garden. If you drive up to the nursery and you see that there are hundreds of cars in the parking lot, it might not be a safe time to shop. Maybe you need to come back later.
This holiday, you might find yourself at the pool. Dr. Leonard Mermel says chlorine in municipal pools should be at a level that's going to combat the coronavirus.
I'm not concerned that there will be transmission in the water in the pool, more with people close together in that setting.
If you're planning to travel, house rentals and hotels should be disinfected according to CDC guidelines.
You have to have the assurances that the proper cleaning is done of the entire setting, particularly, again, high-touch surfaces.
This summer will also set the tone for fall. Milani suggests a phased approach for returning to sports like football.
It's really hard to physically distance in playing of sports. So there's that aspect, and there's also the spectator aspects. And this is going to be one of many questions that gets looked at this summer.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
An update now on our top story. This weekend will be the first major test for San Diego County's newly relaxed rules surrounding businesses. Law enforcement and local leaders are warning people not to forget about the seriousness of the virus and to follow the rules so the scaled-back stay-at-home orders can stay in place. For sure, quarantine is making many of us a little restless, and apparently that's true for peacocks as well. The San Diego Humane Society helped track down a rogue peacock that escaped from the San Diego Zoo. They shared this picture of the captured bird found roaming down Fifth Avenue. It's now back to where it belongs. No harm, no foul. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. I hope you have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.